A and D for R.O.C.K in the U.S.A, built up from roots to power chords to an enhanced power chord to the full chord. I want to give you one more thought about the A chord, and then we'll move on from this today. So here I've written our chords with finger numbers. We haven't done this yet, but here's our E chord with dots. Sometimes your charts will tell you which fingers they want you to use. I'll do this sometimes if I want you to see how the chords relate to one another. So in the E, I'm using the second finger on the fifth string, the third finger on the fourth string, and the pointer on the third string. This isn't tab. Those aren't telling you which frets you're playing. The frets are already drawn in the chord picture. Those numbers are telling you which fingers to use. So then I would go to this A chord. In this one, your 3 and your 2 move to the second string and the third. Your pointer reaches around to the fourth string. They're all stacked up in the second fret, and you hit 5 strings. That's the standard version of it. That's still probably my version, although I have others now. If I go to the D from here, you notice the 3 is on the same string in A as it is in D. It just slides up a fret. That's called a guide finger. You want to practice your chords with guide fingers. Move that finger first, then your 1 and 2 fingers split up and go on the first and third strings. To go back to A, I'll draw that finger back in and move the pointer and second to the lower strings of the chord. Guide back out, separate them on higher strings. Guide back in, put them together on lower. That's my practice from A's to D's. These 2 fingers go down here in the E chord. Back up, and the pointer moves from one string to the other to get from A to E. So when you learn a chord, what you're going to do naturally, you have no choice at first, is dump that chord and then rebuild the next. From the start, try to teach yourself though to move in units. So these 2 fingers together, the 2 and the 3, are going to move to the 5th and 4th string. Notice how my wrist and elbow might move to do that. You can't even see then, the pointer is being pushed off the 4th string to the 3rd string by this motion. So there's A to E, A to E. Notice what it doesn't look like now after experience is finger action. They're not moving around. I'm popping in there with the motion of the whole hand. These 2 fingers get drawn up and that one reaches back. When I go to D, the ring finger slides out and the pointer and second finger move up a string. That would be a way you could practice these. That's along the top here, E to A to D. Depending on the size of your hands, these fingers may not all get in there, but that's what you would be striving toward at first. Another version that people prefer, and I didn't think it was as good at first, is this one, where your pointer remains on the 3rd string when I go to the E chord, or go from the E chord to the A. It just slides up a fret, so now it's a guide finger. These 2 fingers do the same thing they were doing in our other change. Rather than moving together to strings 3 and 2, they move up but separate. So now the ring finger's on string 2, the pointer is slid in from behind, and the middle finger's on string 4. Even I actually find this to be a more comfortable chord now after I've finally decided to learn it. You can pile these fingers into the 2nd fret a bit better when the pointer pushes in from behind rather than when they're all stacked up. I thought that would bother me going to the D chord, but in fact it's even better in a way. You can't tell because it's tucked in, but the pointer is already in place. This finger on string 3, number 1 finger, remains on string 3 in the exact same fret. So now it's not a guide finger, it's an anchor. It doesn't even move. The middle finger moves to the top string, the ring finger just slides out to the 3rd fret. So there's your practice for that. Pointer remains, ring finger pops back, middle finger switches strings. So all you're doing to get from one chord to the other is taking this finger to the first string, which causes the ring finger to pop out. Bring this finger to the fourth and draw the ring finger back in. So there's A and D now. Pointer guides into the A, remains, and anchors into the D. So that's another great way to work on it. Probably a little more efficient even than the traditional. A final way we can look at the A, we saw that with open and 2, we had a power chord. We could lay that 2 down for another string, for an extra note in the power chord, or you can lay it completely flat and get these same 3 notes but with one finger. If you've got enough arch in the back of the finger, you can mute the first string. I don't even really worry about it because I just don't strum that high. I'll aim at the 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings. Aiming at them, I'll probably hit some 2nd strings. So that's a great way to play the A as well. If I do, I can go to a normal D, or I can bar that finger, which is on the middle 3 strings here. I can move it up to the top 3 and add that 2nd string note, the 3rd fret, with either of these fingers. I used my 2nd finger this time. A, D. D with middle finger. A, D with ring finger. Either way it works. A lazy E. So there I'm doing a hybrid. I'm doing more of a power chord on E. 4 good strings of an A and the top 4 of a D. I probably was never sounding this note. I often don't in a D chord.